Congratulations.
On what?
On being around a slightly moderate number of people. Group of people.
Yeah.
And
it was weird.
the joys of being vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right?
It definitely was an adjustment. Yeah. So I just hung out with, I think it was like 8 people. Yeah. 8 people, including me. Fully vaccinated except for one friend who.
Which technically doesn't matter. Like,
right.
That doesn't need, I know why you're saying it, but it doesn't need to be said.
I suppose. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just so weird. It was weird, like, being inside, and I think I got used to it. Initially when I walked in, my reaction or my instinct was to stay 6 feet away from everybody. Mm-hmm. But as the night went on, it started to feel normal.
I purposely did not want to talk to you about this until now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I'm just, I mean, I don't want to get too detailed here, but you did have your reservations about making reservations with friends. And
good one.
I am a dad. And
I just had,
it got to the point where I was saying, just fucking do it.
Right. Like
you have to just go head first.
I don't know about that. I don't think I'm going head first. I think I'm taking baby steps.
That's 8 people is not a baby step.
But all fully vaccinated except for one who she's very close to being. And like I said, we still like opened the window. We were like in a very well ventilated place. It was,
no shame.
Like it's, you can't just completely shut it all off.
Sure.
But I also went back to yoga for the first time, an in-person yoga class this weekend. But again, everybody was distanced. The doors were open, so well-ventilated area. And yeah, I'm vaccinated. So I'm easing in from that perspective. I'm not like going to like a concert or like a really crowded party.
Let's be frank. Even if there wasn't a pandemic, we're not going to a concert.
That's true. Me especially.
Welcome to While She's Napping. I am Adam.
And I'm Cindy.
So, hey, summer shandies.
Yeah,
Narragansett, Dell's Shandy Kid.
Lucky you. I'm so disappointed. This morning, I was at the grocery store, and they happened to have this Dogfish Head lemon non-alcoholic beer.
Is that
I was
Vermont,
like,
right?
I think so.
Dogfish is Vermont.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that's as close as I'm going to get to shandy. And it's like 95 degrees today. I'm like, this will be great. This will be so refreshing. Yeah. And then I just was about to open it and drink it while we were recording. And it still has the government's warning on it about pregnant women not drinking alcoholic beverages. So it's not completely alcohol free.
Kind of like decaf coffee. Still has some caffeine in it.
I guess so. That's probably a good way to look at it.
I mean, it's just liquid blueberry bread.
Yeah, it's like lemon, blueberry, acai.
Bread.
Yeah. Monk fruit. I don't know. It sounded really delicious. I was really excited about it. Oh, well.
Anyways.
I'll make my own mocktail later.
Yeah, you mentioned concerts, so that's a good segue. This is sort of off the cuff today, and it's not like a lot of our conversations aren't off the cuff anyway, but we're going to talk about music, specifically our favorite music. I think it's important for people to get a little peek behind the curtain of the type of people we are, especially those that listen to us on a regular basis every week, to get to know us on a personal level without like our political leanings and our social and ethical, alignments or whatnot. Just the fun side of things. But before we do that, I do want to say that we appreciate everybody that has been listening to us. The month of May has been very good in terms of engagement and listenership, so we appreciate that. And if you're new to this show and you wanted to get our perspective on music and whatnot, because you too are a music lover, which, I mean, who doesn't like music? But anyways, subscribe to our show. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, I guess, Amazon, whatever their podcast bullshit is. please subscribe to us. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. Did you hear that Apple is doing, if you have an independent podcast or any podcast, you're able to have paid for content?
Oh, like Patreon? But
Sort
through Apple?
of, but yeah, exclusive audio if you want to pay for certain podcasts that want to do that.
Oh.
We're not going to do that.
No, probably not.
All our shit will be free forever.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. Please subscribe to our show.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/whileshe'snapping, on Instagram at whileshe'snapping, on Twitter at she'snappingpod, or you can email us at whileshe'snapping@gmail.com.
So, I mean, summertime restrictions are getting lifted, at least here in Rhode Island. There are no more restrictions.
On social gatherings.
There are no restrictions,
like
period, for quote-unquote vaccinated people. We talked about this last time. Mm-hmm. And in terms of, concerts and stuff, they're still going to do them. They're still going to have events and whatnot. But it's up to the individual store owners or business owners' discretion how they want to operate their business. So there are some businesses still doing
masks required for everyone. Yeah.
But, summertime concerts are starting to reignite. There are tours happening now. I figured this would be a good time. We're getting a nice taste of summer today with a nice 90-degree day in Fahrenheit for all our European listeners out there. But I'm getting the itch. That's why I'm having a lemonade shandy beer kid. And I thought this would be a good time. And also, I think, when it comes to summertime, and this is largely because of you, and we can just jump right in, I don't like that I'm more receptive to it. But if there's ever a time of the year where I'm like, all right, I'll tolerate this country song, it's in the summer. I feel that it's very contradictory to listen to a country song in any other season.
Yeah, it's definitely summer music. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the fact that country music originated from, parts of the country that are hot all the time. Like, in the South or the Midwest, and, New England weather isn't like, New England's not the heart of country music, No,
it's the heart of the middle.
I feel like maybe that has something to do with it, because a lot of country music brings in sort of like the outdoors, that sort of or like being on a farm, like
you
being
can't
super
roll
typical.
your windows down during a blizzard,
right?
And you're cranking Luke Bryan.
Yeah,
you're like, this is the way to be,
right?
So I think if there's any period of time that I don't ever want to listen to country music. You do, but it's curious to me because we have, again, I don't want to get into our political alignment here necessarily on this show, but we can't really talk about country music and your, I don't want to say love, but I guess a compelling nature towards country music.
I mean, I wouldn't overstate it. I'm not like a diehard country music fan. You were. Because, so this was before I really got into podcasts, which is primarily what I listen to now whenever I'm in the car, or like passively if I'm cleaning or cooking or something. Before the era of podcasts, for me, when I was in the car, that would be my go-to station. And being that I listen to that music most often.
It's funny that you still listen to the radio, even if this was like 3 years ago.
No, I'm talking like, this was when we lived in our other house.
No, you were still bumping country music.
I'm talking like 2009, 2010. Like, that's when I started really listening to country.
Yeah, I get it. But this is a relatively new transition for you, getting out of music. You were still listening to music and country music primarily 3-4 years ago. And you were still listening to the radio. I think that's funny.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, we have a good country local radio station that I think the hosts are funny and I enjoy listening to them. But anyway.
That's what my mom says about her favorite radio station. I just think the hosts are funny.
Anyway. Yes. If I had to choose a station on the radio, I will most likely choose the country station. But I'm not a diehard fan. I don't follow it. I don't know the newest artists. Like I know the ones that were, most popular during that time, like maybe 8-10 years ago, like when I first started listening and I was listening to it all the time. Artists like Luke Bryan, Florida Georgia Line, they were like they were really popular and up and coming at that point.
That was like the boom period of pop country. Right.
And so I think for music like that, the reason why I still enjoy it, I think, is because I've had great concert experiences for some of those artists. Like,
I mean, it's not every day you can go see Florida Georgia Line with Nelly opening up for them.
And the Backstreet Boys.
That's such a fucking clusterfuck.
At Fenway.
It's a clusterfuck.
That was so fun, though. Like, that's the country concerts that I've been to. Granted,
is that a country concert?
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
It's pop country, and that's what that blend was kind of fun. It was like 90s throwback, boy band, and pop country. It was just, and that particular experience, it was at a baseball stadium. It was just really, really fun. But that's what it is. It's not because I appreciate the music for what it is. It's not intricate. It's not like...
No, it's bad.
That's what I mean. It's simple. It's catchy.
Formulaic.
Yes, I'm aware of all of this. What I'm saying is, like, I'm not a musician, so stuff like that doesn't jump out at me. Like, if I hear something and it's fun to dance to, or it's just fun to listen to, or it's fun to go to a concert and sing along to, I just enjoy it for what it is and for that experience. Like, I'm not looking to be, blown away by the talent or the intricacy of the different instruments and things like that. Like, that's not to say that I don't appreciate in other styles of music, or musicians who are very, very talented, in that respect. But I just enjoy it for what it is.
I mean, it's the same sort of formula for every song.
I know.
Verse. They had the intro with pieces of the chorus, and it's like half the chorus non-vocals to start the song, just the background. And then you have the verse, the chorus, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, and they do the chorus without all the instruments. It's just the guitar.
Acapella or okay, yeah.
And the vocals, and then they kick right back into the chorus, and then the song's over.
Pretty much.
That is the formula for every single country song.
Yep.
And I mean, that's why it is catchy. I can acknowledge when music is catchy. Most of the stuff, I mean, I do have my guilty pleasures. We've talked about Taylor Swift here. But, say what you want, and I'm not a fan of Nickelback, but I'm not a fan at all.
No, I know.
But they write catchy shit.
I know.
That's why people hate them.
Right.
Because it's very formulaic and that 4/4 timing, and it's just catchy for the sake of being catchy.
Right.
And that's why it's poppy and everybody likes it. It's individualistic. It's
Sure.
more broad. But I don't know. When it comes to country, it's hard for me to really enjoy it because it's unrelatable for me, right? And it seems so forced and fake. I like, and this makes me sound so fucking pretentious, but I like music with lyrics and messages behind it that you at least feel like the artists mean.
Well, yeah, but I think there is some and again, we're talking about like country pop, like
I'm not saying
it
doesn't exist,
right? But I'm saying a lot of it, yes, it's like rolling your windows down in the summer, like driving on a back road or having a bonfire. Like, it's a lot of fun, like non-serious songs. But there's also songs that have lyrics that are like really tell a story or are very emotional, or like those definitely exist. I think that's actually, back to like more genuine, authentic country music is probably the biggest appeal for a lot of people is the storytelling that happens within it.
But it makes me wonder how much of it is legitimate from them, and it's not some sort of producer saying, hey, this is... It would make... All right, so it's no secret that most pop songs, like, traditional pop, NSYNC, all that, they don't write their own shit. That it makes me wonder if that is the same when it comes to pop country? Are they writing their own material, or is it written for them?
I'm sure it varies.
Yeah, see, I can't get behind that. I just can't. It seems so inauthentic to me.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. But again, I feel like when I'm just looking for something to relax to or to dance to or just like that doesn't really matter to me. Like in the moment, like that's not what it's for. It's for entertainment. And that might sound shallow or I don't know. But like it's still, it gets the job done in that sense.
And, you know, what's ironic about this is if you go back to the shit that you were listening to primarily when you were a kid, and some of that stuff you are revisiting now and sort of nostalgic over.
Okay, so this first half is just you making fun of my music tastes.
I mean, I think we're discovering you really don't have music taste, you have podcast taste. Right? You just have true crime podcast taste. And with a sprinkle of political stuff.
That's so accurate.
But you know, when it comes to the stuff you used to listen to, although still sort of funny in its own right, but more respectable, like Hanson and Jewel, they definitely used to write their own shit until Jewel went crazy. Yeah. And I think Hanson still does.
They do.
But, you know, Hanson is really hard to take seriously because of Bop. It's really difficult to take them seriously. And their stupid fucking Christmas album. It's really
the best.
No,
it's the best Christmas album ever.
But it's hard to take them seriously as artists because of Bop. Everybody has that one song, you know?
Right, but you have to keep in mind that they were children.
And they wrote that.
And they wrote that. Yeah. And they were talented from the beginning, being kids who wrote.
I'm not saying they're not.
Yeah, but I'm saying now they've matured, obviously, as they've grown into adults, and they write more mature music. And
I mean, it's still pop.
It is, but it's
not radio pop, though.
Right, and it's not. They're not. I don't think they're ever looking to write another Bop. Like that's not.
Well, I don't think they need to. Because
that's very true. They don't. But I'm saying like they're not trying to write poppy, radio friendly. Like I think that they're settled into their identity more and their maturity, and they're writing music that they enjoy. Like they just did one of their most recent projects was a collaboration with an orchestra. It was called String Theory, and it was really cool. And there was some new music, and they revisited some of their older songs and redid them with an orchestra, and it was a really creative, cool. Like that's not like a radio pop thing. That's
I'm not saying they don't need to anymore though, because they're probably still living off of Bop.
Yeah, probably.
I'm being serious.
I agree. I know. Yeah.
You know, same thing with Jewel. Like Jewel is a very respectable artist in terms of the shit that she used to write. I don't know if she's still active now. You would know better.
I think she is. Yeah.
But that she was really one of the first folk artists to make it pop.
Right.
And then she went crazy with Intuition.
She went full pop. Yeah. She tried to go like full pop.
That stereotypical like Barbie persona that she definitely was not.
Right. Like she was competing with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera or something. I think it was
Intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible.
That was the album name and the hit or the single too, I believe. Yeah.
Awful.
I know. I agree. I still love her. I love her old stuff, but yeah, she lost me with that one too.
But she's coming back too. If she's still writing now, I don't know. But I don't know. I think that's when you look at these artists that you used to listen to as a kid, they are making comebacks, and I don't know that that's necessarily unique. In any generation of music, usually they have reunion tours and whatnot, unless you're the Beatles, obviously, even before John Lennon passed away. They weren't really coming back together, and Led Zeppelin, they aren't really getting back together, even though Bonham died. But I don't know. It makes you wonder if this is going to be a continuous trend, because although some of the makeup might be different, I think nostalgia has been so tapped in when it comes to our generation of millennials right now, craving that sort of feeling in the nostalgia factor of the 90s and the music and whatnot. You can take it from here. You were a huge Calling fan, and I mean, first of all, that dude's batshit crazy. Second of all, I mean, they had one good song.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't think the nostalgia thing is new to our generation.
No, it's not. But it's just, I think now we've become the generation
Yes.
that craves nostalgia. I don't think the generation that has come after us craves any nostalgia.
Well, not yet.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're in that period now.
Right,
we're
right.
Like, we're the old men and women screaming at crowd. Ours was so much better.
Yeah. Right, where the artists that we loved when we were younger, we were growing up,
Yes.
are still around enough to perform and tour, but they're not even, they might not even be coming out with new music.
I don't even know that they're still around. I just think they need money.
Yeah.
And then when they announce tour dates, people our age are like, oh, fuck yeah.
Right.
Or
And they don't
whatever.
even have to do anything new. Right.
Yes.
They just come and play their old songs.
Like New Kids on the Block. I think
Yeah.
that was before us a little bit. They're 80s, but I was born in 85.
Yeah,
and
I
you were born
kind of
in
like
88.
just missed New Kids on the Block.
Yeah. And they are, my friend is seeing them at Fenway this summer.
Yeah.
And they are touring,
Right.
and apparently they sell out. Maybe they don't sell out, but a good
I'm
decent
sure they
amount
do.
of people.
I'm sure they do.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the Calling's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think, well, that one is weird. So they were never like a huge, they're not like Hanson or like any of the boy bands or even Jewel. Like they weren't super popular. They had
They're on
one,
the level of Lifehouse.
they're very, very similar. I actually think they're our siblings who played in both bands or something. They're like very, very similar. But they never really, I mean, they made it big from their one like huge single that they had, but most
Like
people I think Hanson was more sustained than
Yes.
The Calling, but most people just think of that song as a radio song. Like they don't even know who sings
I don't
it.
even know if people know the song. Like,
They just
if
know
you-
when they hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
But
what
they
I mean.
don't.
It's just
They
a radio
probably
song.
don't know who it is.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they hear it come on the radio and they're like, yeah, okay, I know the song and it's catchy and it's whatever, but they don't know who sings it and they have no idea what other music they have. But yeah, the band that itself didn't even stay together. And I was a huge fan, like obsessed with
Every
The Calling.
90s girl has that one band.
Yes, this was mine. Exactly. Posters everywhere. Like,
Leader of the fan club.
yes, I was like on the message boards and like the street team and the whole thing. Like,
You tell people when they say something wrong about them.
yeah, like I used
No,
to
you
enter.
idiot. He parts it on the right side.
Yeah, I knew like every stupid detail.
Fucking fake asses.
Yeah, I remember, this is always such a good story. My mom snuck me into a concert that was supposed to be 18 plus when I was 15 or 16 to see him. Yeah, I know. It was like for me, and I just remember it was so ironic because
Hide the cigarettes.
it was like the day before my confirmation where I was being confirmed in my church, right? So it was like, we've talked about this before. Like I was brought up pretty sheltered, like pretty goody two shoes, church going, all of that stuff. And I just thought it was hilarious that for my mom, this was like a very rebellious thing to do, but she knew how much I loved this band and she helped sneak me into a concert the night before I had my confirmation. But it's one of the coolest things my mom did.
Was that your first concert?
So I discovered The Calling at my first concert, which was like it was one of our local radio stations did like a mix, like a festival type thing. So it was like 10 bands that played, and they were one of them. That's how I discovered them. I also saw Destiny's Child, so Beyonce, in that same concert, and TLC.
I can't remember if my first concert was the Gravity Games in Providence. So I think people are familiar with the X Games.
Yep.
And that's, BMX biking and
Right.
skateboarding. Providence, Rhode Island brought in the Gravity Games. And then that took off. But we were the originators of the Gravity Games.
Yep.
And Seven Dust played the Gravity Games. And I think that was my first concert, which was crazy. Packed. All free. That or Dropkick Murphys was my first concert. At the people that live in Rhode Island will know. The old Lupos. Mm-hmm. The very small Lupos. I've seen many shows there. It's a really cool place. But talk about your first two concerts. Those are at least my first two. I don't know in what order.
Actually, now that I'm thinking, I think the ones I just mentioned might have been two separate shows. I think the Destiny's Child TLC was its own show. I think that was my first concert. And then my next one was that. Like, it was
Who
the
opened
90.
for who at that? That's curious for me.
That's a good question. I think TLC were the headliners.
That makes sense. Because that's probably when No Scrubs came out.
Yeah. Because I got a t-shirt and everything, a TLC. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the order of it. But yeah, and then the next one, it was our local radio station, like pop station, is 92 Pro FM, and they do like a big birthday bash every year with like multiple artists.
Right.
And that's where I discovered The Calling. I don't even remember who else was playing at that show, but yeah,
I guess it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. And they were like one of the first of like 10, a lineup of 10. They were like number 1 or 2. Like they were not popular. And even now, I think most of their fan base is international. They were always more popular, like Brazil, Argentina. But yeah, it's such a nostalgic thing. It was an obsession when I was a teenager. And just before the pandemic, so last year, May of 2020, so right around my birthday,
I was going to touch them again.
They stop. So I've only actually seen them in concert. So that first one, and then 2 other times where I got to do meet and greets. Yeah, both. Well, the one my mom snuck me into, and then there was another one that my mom won tickets on the radio for me, and that was also a meet and greet.
It's a good mom. My mom was to radio.
Seriously, she listened all day and kept calling in.
Because she probably hated all that shit.
Probably. Yeah. So she got me in to see him again. So, but yeah, that was like, God, I was probably like 17 the last time that I saw them live. And then they announced they were playing a show in Massachusetts in May of 2020. And my brother bought me tickets for my birthday gift. And then COVID happened. Yeah. And I don't know if they're ever going to reschedule it, but they did just so
he needs the money. He'll be back.
But like I said, they don't have a really strong following in the U.S., so I don't know. They've been touring internationally this whole time.
It's him.
You're right. So now he's Alex Band of The Calling.
He owns the name, right?
He's like a solo artist, but he has to keep The Calling in there because nobody else knows who he is because he's associated with that one song from The Calling in the early 2000s. Yeah. So, it just made me feel like it just slapped in the face. Like the other day was the 20th anniversary of the release of that hit song, and that first album that contained the hit single they had. So, they're doing like a live stream celebratory thing. But like, I guess this whole thing is very specific about the specific artists that I've enjoyed throughout my life. But I guess when I think about what my taste in music is, I don't really have like specific parameters or specific genres that I'm really drawn to. It's just sort of like it's morphed throughout my life.
Well, that's where you and I differ.
So I'm very all over the place. If I like something, I like it and I'll listen to it. I just kind of bop around. And I'm just drawn to specific artists, and that's just the way it is.
It's crazy because that path is pretty linear. You say bop around, but you didn't really stray away from enjoying the pop sphere, right? It's
true.
Still formulaic, and that's not an insult. It is, I mean, that is what is defined as the pop formula of writing music. But it doesn't surprise me that someone that would listen to top 40 as a kid ended up liking country music at some point, like especially new age pop country.
I will say though, I think it depends on what I'm exposed to, because you've introduced me to a lot of new music. And again, I'm not a diehard fan, but like if you throw on, like I went to see Tool with you and it was fantastic. I've seen A Perfect Circle a couple of times. Like they're awesome. Like I enjoy it, but I'm not a diehard fan.
But that's more of a visual experience. That's a concert experience.
It's an entire experience. Yes, totally. I went through some phases. I went through like a System of a Down phase, like a pretty heavy, like, I went through like a J-Lo hip hop phase.
Great.
At one point, like
you must have loved that halftime show.
Oh God. Well, that was, this was a long time. I'm thinking this was like middle school. This was like Ja Rule and J-Lo era. Do you remember that era?
Yes. Talked about the way you smell.
Yeah, exactly.
He went from murder to
it's
the
true.
way
That was
you
like
smell.
You're right. That was like the pop version of Ja Rule. So
the way you walk.
I guess I'm pretty predictable.
shooting motherfuckers and then talking about how someone smells.
All right, so you want to take a break, and then
let's take a break.
Evaluate your musical journey.
There's no evaluation.
In the second half?
It's, well, I guess. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hang tight. So, you say you bopped around. I think I bopped around. My progression has not been linear at all.
Okay.
So, my first favorite... do you know your first CD?
I'd have to think about it.
My first CD ever was Puff Daddy and the Family.
Okay.
I used to love that album. The All About the Benjamins was on there. Was it I'll Be Missing You?
Okay, yep.
For Biggie. It's a great album for old school hip hop fans. And that is what really kicked me into liking hip hop. But at the same time, the second CD I've ever had was Oasis. What's the Story, Morning Glory? I did not know a soul that did not have that album. Yeah. Not know a soul that did not have or does not have some sort of digital version of What's the Story, Morning Glory. Great fucking album. Timeless. It's got Wonderwall on it. You never had that?
I didn't have it.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure I didn't have it.
Don't Look Back in Anger.
I mean, I know the album. I know the songs. I just don't think I own the album.
There is not a bad song on that album. And I'm not even a huge Oasis fan.
Right.
Just not a bad song on that album. So I was either going to go one of two ways. I was either going to go the hardcore alternative route when it came to, the pipe pants and the metal beads around your neck, the choker chains, or I was going to go to the hip hop and, white kid dressing black when I was, in middle school or whatever. I ended up going that direction.
The hip hop direction?
Yeah. So I was the stupid motherfucker wearing FUBU and stuff, not knowing what it stood for at all. And just loving hip hop. And it's funny you mentioned Ja Rule. Ja Rule used to be my favorite hip hop artist when I was in 7th grade.
Well, that's funny.
I won his first album off of the local hip hop radio station. And
so we were both just trying to win shit from the radio.
It took off. And that album, looking back on it, no child should be listening to that album. Yeah. It was pretty hard. And that's
also,
why
I
it's
had
surprising.
A very strict rule. We were not allowed to have explicit anything.
I wasn't allowed either.
I know, but I followed the rules.
No,
that was the difference.
And I mean, looking back on it, it's still a good album for a hip hop album. It's still pretty good. And the content on that compared to what he turned into is night and day. Somehow it took a turn back to alt rock. I don't know how it happened. I think it's because I got into Limp Bizkit when I was in 8th grade.
Okay, I was going to ask if it had anything to do with you getting into music yourself.
No, I think getting into Limp Bizkit because there was that hip hop merger with rock.
That makes sense.
And I enjoyed In Together Now with Method Man and Limp Bizkit. I bought that album and then I said, okay, this is good. It's not good as, written material, but I'm one of those selfless, shameless Limp Bizkit fans
You don't
that
say.
to this day still love Limp Bizkit and will fight anyone to the death that denies that they're a Limp Bizkit fan, because everybody is a fucking closet Limp Bizkit fan. Everyone.
So this
you
goes back
throw
to
on Break Stuff, you're listening to Break
Yeah.
Stuff.
So this was if you haven't listened to our episode from it was the 90s one,
It was
right?
the 90s
Yeah, we
episode.
talk about Limp Bizkit and a whole debate around
Whatever.
that. So go back.
No.
Adam loves Limp Bizkit.
I shameless
Yeah.
when it comes to Limp Bizkit. I will crank. That is my workout music consists of Limp Bizkit and wrestling entrance themes.
And both of those were featured at our wedding.
Yes. Yes. I will bump Limp Bizkit to the end of time. I don't give
I
a
remember
fuck.
that. I remember you were like, I was like, just save it till the end of the night, please.
But I enjoy, I'm thankful for what Limp Bizkit has done for me, because it broadened my
Right.
experience, because then I was like, oh, I'll listen to Korn. Oh, okay, I'll listen to Deftones. And because Deftones was in that middle ground of people that liked rock music when I was growing up as a teenager, like early 2000s, hated Limp Bizkit because it was an insult to legit rock music. Same thing with Korn. It was like the pop of metal.
Right.
But Deftones were in that sweet spot where you could go either way. And they were sort of respectable, but at the same time, it was still new metal. It was weird. But because of that, then I got into like Rage Against the Machines. Then I got into Seven Dust, and then I got into Tool. And once I got into Tool, it was over. I was one of those Tool fans.
So that, to me, yeah, you were obsessed. I feel like is a relatively linear progression, the way that you just described it. Like, I know you said like you had like the fork in the road initially.
I don't think
between...
people that listen to Ja Rule to go to Tool is linear.
No. But you were explaining how you kind of had that, like, you were either going to go alternative or you were going to go hip hop.
Yes.
And initially you went hip hop, but then you had an artist, Limp Bizkit, that came in that
'Cause
was
it was
sort
a
of like
merger.
a hybrid.
Yes.
And kind of brought you in that direction. So I
Yes.
think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the progression from there makes sense. And then I feel like that's always the music. We didn't even talk about the fact that I grew up, I never played any instruments. I never was a singer. Like I wasn't a musical person.
Right.
I did dance. So I enjoyed music from that perspective, which now I'm wondering, maybe that's why I'm so drawn to pop music, because I'm drawn from movement and dance associated with music. But you played instruments growing up, and you still are a singer. You sing.
I'm not in a band anymore.
Well, no, but you sing, like, you know how to sing. Like, you've been involved with writing with a band and writing your own lyrics and things like that. So I wonder, to me, that is usually the explanation I have in my head of why you're drawn to music that is more involved and more intricate, and because you can appreciate it, because you understand the what it takes to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, listening to Tool definitely, it definitely stifled, I feel, my musical growth, but at the same time sort of expanded it. It's this weird dichotomy, because Tool was the measuring stick for everything.
Yeah.
Anything I listened to, I would say it's good, but it's not as good as Tool. It will never be as good as Tool. And again, I was one of those Tool fans that you just didn't want to talk to at the party. I had a Tool shirt for every day of the week.
Yeah.
It was, but they're just so good. And what separates Tool today from Tool of, 10, 20 years ago is they were so antisocial 10, 20 years ago. And now they're all about talking. They're all about being receptive to interviews and being personable, which is not the persona I identified Tool with. It was always close off, stay away from stupid people. It definitely made me a more pompous person.
Yeah.
Listening to Tool.
Well, that was the frontman's personality. That's how Maynard
No,
is.
that was his
persona.
Yeah.
Fine.
The way he was perceived and the way he
I still
demonstrated
remember
himself.
at a concert when I think it was A Perfect Circle, and he like yelled at the audience because not enough people were standing up.
It was at the
PPAC,
PPAC,
so it was like
and,
amphitheater seating. Like we were up in the balcony. Like you didn't have to stand up, but he got really pissed, and I was like, oh, that's a little off-putting. But I guess it goes with the whole persona.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily. Maybe he's grown. We all grow.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that about The Calling, because this past week was the 20th anniversary of Lateralis.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I bought that album 2001, and it's still one of my favorite albums of all time, still to this day. Again, that album is a journey to listen to. It is the equivalent, to me, the equivalent of The Wall.
Yeah.
It's timeless. But
that's what, none of the music I ever listened to was like that. Like, you listen to an album from front to back, and the whole thing, like, in order, and it tells a story, and the whole, like, that is bigger than how I used to, or how I still do, really view and approach music.
It got to the point where I was so invested into Tool that we would fuck with the track order to make it different, just for a different experience. People say listen to Dark Side of the Moon and watch Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Tool had listened to Lateralis and watched Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
I feel like I have heard that before.
Oh, I've watched it.
But I've never done it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just one of those bands that it's one of those rarity of bands that will remain timeless. They did it. They accomplished it. They didn't need and I sound like such a fucking dweeb right now, but they didn't need the MTV machine to get big and stuff. They did it on their own, and they relied a lot on feet on the ground networking and stuff, and they made it. But somehow I was able to get away from that and fall head over heels for Porcupine Tree. I fucking love that band. To this day, that is my favorite band.
Yeah, and
what you're talking about, standards and measuring sticks and whatnot, the singer is just not good.
Yeah.
But he writes amazing music, and the drummer is amazing. What I love about Steven Wilson, the singer, is his voice just bare is not that great, but he's aware of that. He says, I don't have the greatest voice, so I use it as an instrument. And there are so many different vocal levels in his music that it's passable. It's an enjoyable listening experience without cringing listening to.
So he doesn't try to force it and make his voice be the star of the performance or of the song. No. He knows how to. Yeah.
It's sort of like Kurt Cobain. Like, he did not have a good voice, but it was good for Nirvana.
Right. It fit.
Yeah.
It was right. Yeah.
You know, if any vocal coach heard Kurt Cobain at that time, like, oh, that's not, doesn't sound good. But if you put it with grunge music, it's okay. You know, this makes sense. With Porcupine Tree, it's so progressive, but it was more, I don't know what drew me to them, but it was more friendly. It was a friendlier experience, and it was a more back and forth with the audience. It didn't have to be closed off. It didn't have to be, oh, we're progressive rock and we're better than you, so fuck off. It was more of a interaction experience with the audience, which is then sort of made me realize, okay, I don't have to be such a dick. Like, I can enjoy music and enjoy music.
Prog music.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, in comparison to pop, a little bit more complicated. I mean, these are 10 and 11 minute songs that I'm listening to, and still, like, have some humility with what I'm listening to. That's why I love Porcupine Tree, because Porcupine Tree took me out of a very dark place.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel like Tool's music and everything, like the visuals they use, I mean, as amazing as it is, and as unique of an experience as it is very dark and very angry, and like it's
up until like 10,000 Days.
Yeah.
Because that's when The Pot came out, and that's when, like, right into, it was a little bit lighter.
It was a little bit lighter.
Marie.
Yeah. But Lateralis is.
But that all happened after I got into Porcupine Tree.
Okay. Yeah. So I think they're similar in that they are both progressive rock, like in terms of your genre that you're attracted to. But I agree. I feel like that makes a lot of sense, because Tool was always very, like, dark and angry and
But Steven Wilson is considered, who's the front man of Porcupine Tree. So when you have, I don't know how it worked for The Calling or whatnot, but Steven Wilson would write all the music and present it to the band, and the band would sort of tweak it here and there, but it was originally a Steven Wilson composition.
Okay.
So when he went up to Porcupine Tree, like all the stuff, for the vast majority of the stuff that was written, it wasn't a collaborative experience. It was more Steven Wilson presenting it, and then they tweak it. So
Sure.
he is considered the king of prog rock. He to this day, amongst people that are really into the prog rock genre, he is the king of prog. Not Tool, not like even King Crimson, none of those bands. It's Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson today is getting requests because he does producing too. So he's getting requests to mix and remaster stuff from the like King Crimson albums, Rush albums, all these albums that are, highly regarded in the prog rock community. They're bringing to him to remaster and do like a 5.1 or whatever. But so for me, it's listening to him talk. It's more, in listening to interviews, it's much more open and welcoming than Tool. And if it wasn't for Porcupine Tree, I would be a completely worse person than I am now. Worse. And it's opened me up to a lot of other things. Like, yes, progressive rock is the genre that I like. I like music that people probably don't really know because progressive rock's not a popular genre, but a lot of people probably haven't heard of Porcupine Tree.
Right.
But Carnival, love Carnival. Fucking love them. Birds of Tokyo, which is the side project of the singer of Carnival, love them. Rishlu, which is an underground prog band, fucking love them. Reign of Kindo, love them. Just these bands that have made me, I feel like a positive person. That's why for me, listening to progressive rock, specifically Porcupine Tree and all that, it means a lot to me because, especially with Porcupine Tree during college, because if I would not have graduated if it wasn't for Porcupine Tree.
Yeah. That was your go-to for your study music. You
it made me focus.
A Red Bull and a pack of Pop-Tarts and
well, they have a 40-minute instrumental.
Yeah.
And it's so soothing that you just throw that on. Even today, if I need to focus on work, I will toss that on.
That's your go-to. Yep.
Moon Loop, it's called.
Yep.
It's a 40-minute instrumental trip, and it's just calm. It's not. I mean, it has its moments where it gets a little bit heavy, but it's just one of those things that you listen to concentrate and really focus.
See, we're very different in that regard too, because I can't listen to anything when I'm trying to concentrate. I know, like I can't. There are times when you're like, oh, don't you listen to podcasts while you're working, or don't you put on some music in the background?
You have a lot of meetings and stuff.
But even when if I'm reading something, well, yeah, podcasts are very different because it's someone talking to you, and if I actually want to be able to like pay attention to what they're saying, I can't also be reading something or writing something. But even with like instrumental music, sometimes every now and then I'll throw it on like an instrumental thing to help. But to me, it's almost more distracting. That's something that we've always been very different in how we work and focus. And music seems to center you and be, to help you focus. But that's not the case for me. Yeah,
I don't know. You have your specific moments of when you first listened to The Calling. You said you discovered them at a show. And I should note that Porcupine Tree is no longer together, which is a bummer. But as of now, there's rumors they might be getting back together. But, with Tool, I don't remember the first Tool song I heard. I don't remember when I heard Tool for the first time. I just knew I loved them. I remember the first song, exactly where I was when I saw what site I went to for Porcupine Tree. It was my friend who sent me a message and said, I think you'd like this band. And this was around 2005, 2006. And he sends me their MySpace page. And the first song I listened to, he's like, just listen to this. Let me know what you think. And it was Blackest Eyes by Porcupine Tree. It just started playing. And I said, I'm sold. 30 seconds into the song, I said, I'm sold. Let's go get the CD. And because at this point, digital downloading was a thing, but I wanted to own it.
You didn't want to wait 3 days.
I wanted to own it.
To illegally download it.
He said, okay, let's go. And so we went to Best Buy. He bought one album. I bought another album. I bought In Absentia, which is the album that people it was so accidental. If you go to Porcupine Tree, like the subreddit or whatever, everybody will say this is the first album you have to listen to by Porcupine Tree. And it was, I don't know, their 6th or 7th album.
Oh, wow.
At the time. And they said this is when they really start becoming Porcupine Tree.
That's their most popular album, you would say?
I don't know about that. It might be.
Yeah.
But
that's the one that I'm the most familiar with.
I love that album. I love that album. And
that's probably why I'm most familiar with it.
And that's what they said, this is the album. And I didn't know that. And so he said, look, I'll buy Dead Wing, you buy In Absentia, we'll burn them and you know,
can
swap
both have
them to
them.
each other.
Yeah.
You know? So just I would listen to that album constantly. It was one of those, everybody has that one CD that you just constantly, and you wear it out.
Yeah.
Scratches all over it, but it doesn't skip. It still works. I love, love, love that album. I cannot recommend that album to people that like progressive rock. Just stick with it. Don't listen to any early Porcupine Tree if you're starting off, because you'll get turned off right away. It's very old school prog, British prog. It's very hard to swallow. I feel like I'm just doing a soliloquy on Porcupine Tree right now.
You're really promoting them.
But I can't say enough about how much I love that band. And I'm so thankful that when they released The Incident, which is their last or latest studio album, that we saw them, because I didn't know that was going to be it.
Yeah.
And we saw them. And that's the first and only time I've ever seen Porcupine Tree. So,
but I think all of these artists really influenced you in your music, in your experience with the band. It was, I mean, you covered a lot. Obviously, you're going to cover the music that you know. No, not Porcupine Tree, but you covered Rage Against the Machine, and I don't know what else.
We did Tool. We did Rush.
Yep.
Chevelle.
Yep.
I used to love Chevelle.
They're more poppy than...
Yeah, but they're a poppy Tool.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
They're radio-friendly Tool.
Yeah, but you guys... you covered a lot of those bands, and then it was like always a joke. Like your own album ended up consisting of mostly like 15-minute songs. Like you really went deep in the prog.
Well, we were the only.
You were a prog
band
in the state. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
I think we were
at the time.
Yeah,
right.
And
it was a unique niche.
It was very metal too, but yeah. I mean, all these things, and it's weird because I also love Norah Jones.
I was going to say, I wanted to end with that. That is the one artist with how different our musical tastes are, or just like my lack of musical taste in general, and your very like cerebral musical taste. Norah Jones, like somehow she brings it all together.
Well,
like
because she's jazz.
Yes,
and that's
she's easy
difficult
to listen to, but it requires extreme amounts of talent, and it is intricate, and it's kind of everything, the best of both worlds for what you and I are each attracted to.
And we've seen her many times, and we were feet away from her.
Oh, the one we saw when she played with her side project, Puss in Boots. We saw them at
the Met.
Small local venue. Yep.
The Met.
And we got there early, right in front.
Yep.
That was an amazing experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was, I mean, I've had a crush on her forever, but she was feet away from us. And that's Norah Jones.
Yeah, it was amazing. I remember there was because we were right in front. It was like so many times she made eye
figured it would have been sold out.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. But I remember it was like she was just like eye contact, like singing. Like it was like we were singing along with her. Like it was just awesome.
Yeah. I just want to buy her some ice cream.
I know. That's you have such an innocent crush on her. It's so cute.
Hand. She was like, "You want to come back to my room? Don't ruin this for me, Norah."
It's so innocent.
This is it.
And I've loved her progression too. Like one of her, I don't know if it was her most recent but
the one by Danger Mouse, the one that was sort of like electronic.
No, before that, the one that has oh God, I can't think of the song. I was just gonna say that it was a little darker than.
Yeah, that's the one with Danger Mouse.
Yeah, okay.
It was a little more electronic and it wasn't really jazzy.
Okay, you're right.
It had Miriam on it.
Miriam, that was the one. Yep, I was thinking of. Yep.
Yeah. You're right. It's really, really good album.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing I don't like by her that she puts out. And so much so that we used to play her shit for our child when she was a newborn to calm her down. That was the only thing that would calm her down.
Yep.
But I feel that, circling back with Tool, it really restricted my musical taste, and it prevented me, and this is my fault, it's not theirs. They weren't promoting this, but I wasn't receptive to other music. Now I feel like I am. I mean, you're talking about someone that loves Limp Bizkit here.
Yeah, but now you're like Taylor Swift's #1 fan, so.
Well, just that song. And, it's when I'm feeling confident during the fantasy season. But, I'll be more inclined to listen to different things. I might not love it, but I'm not going to be super critical of it. Because music it's a spectrum. There is bad music.
Sure.
I don't necessarily consider, like, I don't know, whoever sings "You're an All-Star," whatever that song is.
Smash Mouth?
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck that band. That's not a good band. Or, Sum 41, that's not a good band. They're just...
I had a Sum 41 phase,
Of course you did. All little girls do it during that time.
Well, that was like the Avril Lavigne phase, and then they ended up dating. It was a whole thing.
I'm good. But if you like it, that's what you like. It's all good. I never liked emo. I never liked screamo. I never got into that shit. I never got into...
ska or anything.
Nope,
Yep.
hated ska. I never got into hard metal when it's just screaming all the time, up until recently, because it's really good to lift to.
That's fair. But like you said, it depends on what your intention is. Like if you're looking for something that is super intellectual, something you want to listen to and hear a story and hear the instruments and have this be like a really intense musical experience, that's very different from someone who's looking to find a good song to dance to or to work out to and to motivate you.
I listen to Monuments when I want to work out, and it's hard. I recommend listening to Monuments if
I don't know them
if
at
you
all.
lift. They're heavy. But
next time I lift, I got
when our child was born, Coldplay's Yellow was just in my head.
Yeah.
And I never really identified with Coldplay until our child was born.
Because that one song.
No. But so Yellow is very, if you listen and look at the lyrics to Yellow and how I apply it to our child, and even now she wants me to sing that to her when she goes to bed. It's either a love song or it's someone that you really care about, and that's how I feel.
Right, doesn't have to be a romantic song. Yeah.
But then I listened to, I think it's A Rush of Blood to the Head, which is the one with Clocks on it and stuff. And Clocks is a very elevator song. You hear that in shopping malls. It's not, it's lost its a meaning because it's ubiquitous.
Overplayed and
But it's a good album. Like, I enjoy that album, and it's well written, and it's a shame that it's gotten so watered down with the amount of airtime it's gotten, because then you just get sick of it and you just don't want to pay attention to the intricacies. And I really do believe that if I still was super into Tool, I wouldn't be open to that at all. I'd just be like, get that shit off, turn that off, and you can thank Porcupine Tree for making me more receptive to music. So we can wrap it up there. I just, for me, I wanted to have a step back on an episode to talk about something, that we enjoy and maybe other people can relate to, that doesn't involve politics. It doesn't involve policy or sociology or whatever. It's just something that when you connect with someone on a musical level, it's a different atmosphere. Right? When you talk about music with someone, like, for me, if someone was like, oh, I love Porcupine Tree too, I'm like, oh, you're one of the dozen, and...
It's kind of like how eventually, once, COVID is really behind us and we can go to concerts again.
You go see The Calling?
If they ever come back. But I found we did a poll about your favorite Christmas album last year, and actually, your sister and one of our close friends both wholeheartedly agree that Hanson Snowed In is the best Christmas album of all time.
Our daughter loves it, though.
She does. I mean, how could she not? Yeah. So now the three of us, I have a dream of one day going to a Hanson concert with those two friends of mine, and we each have a different Hanson brother who's our guy, and we're gonna have shirts that each say who we are, who our attachment is to in the band, and that's like, it's a new bond for the three of us that we are all still Hanson fans all this time later.
Yeah. And your boy Alex Band is still holding on. I feel like he's the one that during the off season of The Calling, he just got out of shape and was like, oh, fuck, there's a nostalgia. Boom. Oh, boy, I'm just going to show up and just
know.
like hope for the best.
He never really stopped making music, but it was just an odd journey, I think.
Yeah, he seems like someone that I don't want to disrespect.
He follows me on Instagram, so watch out.
Oh, I think, you know what? I do think Steven Wilson follows me
Really?
on Instagram. I really do. I think he does. I'll have to check because I remember sending that to you and saying, holy shit, I think Steven Wilson is following me. You know what?
Is it his verified account?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to check. Shout out to Steven Wilson for, actually, he's in some hot water right now.
Really?
Yeah. Hold on, let me see.
Like a scandal hot water?
He does follow me. Han Kanana Race follows me.
Nice.
No, again, I don't want to get into political stuff, but he's pro-Israel right now.
Ah, yeah, that's a hot button issue, I'd say.
Yeah.
The whole thing, yeah.
I don't, whatever, it's fine.
We don't need to get in. There's a lot of great coverage happening on that whole thing.
I don't know enough about what's going on to...
It's a lot.
Okay. Well, anyways, if you're a fan of Jewel or The Calling or Hanson or Pop Country...
Norah Jones
or Porcupine Tree, Carnival... Oh, Tesseract. I love Tesseract too. Mm-hmm. Our Lady Peace. I forgot to mention them.
That's right.
We used to love Our Lady Peace.
We both love Our Lady Peace too. And there's some other good like folky is it James
Alt-rock.
Blunt? No, like other like those types of artists that you introduced me to.
I didn't introduce you to James Blunt.
Really?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Then I must be getting him confused with someone else.
That's your other husband. It is not me.
It was remember that CD you made me at like our first Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
I think he was on that CD, and I assumed that you liked him for that. Okay, I don't remember.
No.
Then I'm getting him confused with someone else.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is there are other artists that you've introduced me to. Our Lady Peace was one of them. Well, you didn't introduce me to them, but I never really listened to them a lot until...
Used to love them. Spiritual Machines is one of my favorite albums of all time. So good. So fucking
Well, they're
good.
Canadian, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that helps.
So good.
Yeah.
Not so good anymore, but so good. Yeah. Anyways, if you want to commentate on any of the artists that we've mentioned, or you want to mention some of your own, I know a lot of our close friends that do listen have their own specific tastes and all well respected. Reach out to us, let us know, and let us know if you think Porcupine Tree is the worst band in the world, and I'll fight you to the death.
And I think a really fun thing to do, I'm going to try to find this, in getting the nursery ready for the new baby, I found, that was like our storage room before, and I found my old book of CDs.
Oh, nice.
From like the 2000s.
I'm sure the Space Jam soundtrack is in there.
I'm pretty sure
it's got to be. Everybody had that too.
There's a lot of nows on there.
Was when you go to a CD store, in order to go in, they hand you what's the story, Morning Glory, or the Space Jam soundtrack.
So I think I'm gonna go through that, and I'll try to post it on our Instagram stories or something, and you guys can, let us know if you have those same CDs, and you should try to dig up some of your old ones.
Oh God!
Remember when you used to keep it in the car and
while driving.
Yeah. Flip through the book.
Now there was no
texting or
change
changing
the CD while driving. That's how I got good at driving with my knees.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That being said, if you want to get in touch with us to talk about your favorite artists, you can.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/whileshe'snapping. I'll try to post those stories on our Instagram page at While She's Napping. We're also on Twitter at She's Napping Pod, or you can send us an email at whileshe'snapping@gmail.com.
All right, summertime's getting into the groove. Next week, it's going to be difficult to record. We have a lot of weddings coming up. So if we miss a week or it's released, midweek or something, it's just we have a lot of weddings to do.
Making up for lost time.
Yeah.
And a lot of friends having had to reschedule their wedding last year.
But we'll still be here, and we'll still interact as best as possible. But until we meet again, take it easy.
Bye.